Hi everyone. This week, Michelle and I are facilitating discussions on technology in special education, and my name is Anita. This is a great topic to explore and be aware of, given that we are in a very technology-rich world. I really appreciated this quote. For most of us, technology makes things easier. For a person with disability, it makes things possible. This quote just resonated with me, so I thought I'll share this. Whether technology was first invented to help people with disabilities or not, it is certainly helping them to do things that were considered impossible. The goals for this week is know the difference between instructional and assistive technology, understand the barriers of implementing accessible technology in classrooms for students with exceptionalities, understand the policies behind special education technology, learn the importance of universal design for instruction, and future for accessible technology for children with exceptionalities. To start with, let's see special education technology in two lenses. Instructional technology, that's the technology you use in classrooms for instructional purposes. And assistive technology is usually a device or a software or technology that is being used by students with exceptionalities by an individual. We need to remember that in order to enhance inclusive practices in schools, educators should consider both instructional and assistive technology. Assistive technology alone cannot improve the functional capacity of an individual. Its effectiveness depends on how accessible the information or the instructional technology is in classrooms. For example, a screen reader is an assistive technology that is being used by blind people to read whatever that is there on their computer screens. And if a website is not accessible by a screen reader, say a website that a teacher wanted to see, wanted to show to all her students, doesn't have, maybe has images that does not have audio descriptions. So that screen reader is not able to read that website. So the website is going to be inaccessible. And most often, technology in special education is limited to provision of assistive technology to students with disabilities. When we think special education, we just think assistive technology, the kid has a device and we are okay, we are done. And it does not stop there. Schools are just beginning to address the accessibility of already available information technology systems in schools to be accessible by students with disabilities. There are several barriers in making technology work for students with exceptionalities. To name a few, teachers often do not have experience with access issues and are not familiar with accessibility laws. Teachers struggle to modify their curriculum in order to make it accessible for a minority of students with disabilities. Most often, students with disabilities are very minimal in classrooms who are academic, and teachers just struggle to modify their content. Lack of funds for training teachers and implementation of technology that is accessible by all students. Lack of communication between educators and technology developers support personnel. And that is, according to me, one of the key reasons why it just doesn't work. Technology doesn't work for students with exceptionalities for inclusive practices. And teachers may be against the use of technology in their classrooms and do not perceive any value of technology that benefits a very small number of students with disabilities. Teachers' attitude towards technology, it matters a lot in implementing those technology tools. Teachers may have limited ability on the technology tools, or they have limited time to be trained to integrate technology into existing classroom practices. And the ever-changing nature of technology used in special education and the explosion of technology options available to all learners with or without disabilities can confuse and overwhelm professionals who want to know how best to proceed. And that is, I mean, we get a new device every single day, and the old device just becomes not usable by our students, and they do not support the technology. Companies do not support those devices or those softwares or those tools. It just becomes very difficult to catch up with all the ever-changing technology. Some of the policies in special education technology. Educators in the field of special education should be aware of laws related to special education technology. We know that there are accessibility laws. Americans Disability Act, Title III website accessibility lawsuits are on the rise as businesses fail in providing websites that are accessible for people with disabilities, because most businesses are not aware of what they need to provide for people with disabilities. The most recent litigation was against Amazon on Kindle users being inaccessible for visually impaired individuals. So understanding the laws and what we need to comply on technology perspective is important. This is like one of the key laws for pretty much everything on students on an IEP, are guaranteed tools and assistive technology if such tools and technology provide them equitable access to content curriculum. And the other is the National Education Technology Plan, which encompass in this law ensures equity of access to learning experience enabled by technology for all students. And the Section 508 gives certain standards for technology accessibility, which for all federal agencies, that includes K-12 schools as well. Universal design for instruction. This is the key to make technology or any product accessible by our students with disabilities. Technology for accessibility cannot be an afterthought or fixed on a case-by-case basis, which is what is happening right now in schools across the nation. Accessibility in technology should be integrated and part of the original design. So it should be teachers, even with the teachers providing curriculum or content, they should incorporate UDI in their content, even if they do not have students with disabilities in their classrooms. Several mainstream technology that is being used in schools have accessibility built in by utilizing the principles of UDI. Google has, Microsoft has all accessibility tools already built in. However, when teachers integrate technology in their curricula, they are not competent in ensuring that their instruction is accessible in formats that provide identical or at a minimum equivalent usage for students with different abilities. It goes back to teachers unaware of accessibility, and so they do not incorporate these features in their content. Some questions to ponder. Do you see technology changing inclusive practices for the better or for worse? For me, I definitely see technology changing inclusive practices for better. Once we are aware of all the accessibility that we can provide in our content through technology, we are going to include our students with disabilities in our classrooms much better than just placement options for them. In technology, what is considered new today will not be considered the same in few days or months. How can educators catch up with the ever-changing technology and accessibility issues? This is a huge barrier. How do you think you will catch up with the ever-changing technology? Do you use technology tools? And if it changes, what happens? How do you inform yourself on these accessibility issues? And the third question is, although educator training is the next logical step for overcoming barriers in relation to technology accessibility, do you think that can be achieved? If not, what changes need to be done at a systemic level to overcome barriers in special education technology? we tend to put all the blame on teachers. Oh, we just have to train them and they should be able to do it. But is it feasible to train all the teachers with the latest technology all the time? Or do you think of another change that could overcome this barrier in special education technology? To complete this week, read the 2 articles. I really enjoyed these 2 articles because these are very related to what I want to do in my dissertation. The critical issues in advancing the special education technology evidence base and improving accessibility for students with visual disabilities in the technology-rich classroom. And then after reading this article, I want you to reflect on the 2 articles. As an activity between Michelle and I'd like you to learn one new accessibility tool that can be incorporated in the content you're teaching. This tool should be something you did not know it existed before reading this week's articles and resources. Answer the following questions. What is the accessibility tool you learned about and what is its primary function? Who will it be useful for? Is the accessibility feature universally designed? These are my references. And I'd like to end up with this quote: if you just provide content in one way, only the students who can obtain access to it in that way will benefit from it. So think about universal design for learning when you integrate technology for your students with exceptionalities. I hope you enjoy learning about special education technology as much as I had enjoyed putting this together. Have a great week. Thank you.